Thank you. Thanks to the rapporteur for the report and the explanatory statement, which I agreed with. I think that, firstly, just to state for the record that obviously I oppose the files being linked and support the approach of the rapporteur and the chair. I welcome the agreement on the basis that it will provide some limited assistance to the Palestinian economies, but I think it is necessary, like the explanatory statement does, and like we discussed the last time we met, to emphasise the limited nature of that assistance because of the reality of the total blockade of Gaza and the major administrative hurdles put in place, put in the way of exports from the West Bank. I think the statement is correct when it says the situation in the Palestinian territories is dire because of severe poverty and unemployment, largely due to the settlements and the Israeli blockade. And this is also demonstrated clearly by data from the World Bank. And the figures, the statistics back that up, and particularly in relation to the blockade, whereby you have 66% of people in Gaza are food insecure, i.e. they don't know if they're going to be able to eat their next meal. 70% of young children suffer from anemia. Between 70 and 80% of people are dependent on foreign aid to survive, and 300,000 people live on less than $1 a day, and all of those figures have dramatically increased, in some cases like tripling, since the time of the blockade. So you see the responsibility of the Israeli state for the humanitarian catastrophe that exists in Gaza in particular, and for the ruination of the Palestinian economy, particularly in Gaza, which, in my opinion, is a conscious policy of the Israeli state. And it's clear, unfortunately, that it's the certain intention of the Israeli state to continue that policy. And we've seen in the last number of weeks the lengths to which the Israeli state is willing to go to maintain that blockade, to maintain their stranglehold over the Palestinian economy, whereby, I mean, in terms of their response to the Freedom Flotilla 2, which they wrongly posed as a provocation, which in reality was an attempt to bring humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, whereby 2 boats, including the boat I was due to sail on, were sabotaged. The circumstantial evidence strongly points towards the Israeli state being guilty. The fact that 2 boats were sabotaged in different ports in different countries in exactly the same way. The fact that it was entirely in line with Israeli policy, and in fact some statements by Israeli ministers afterwards seem to brag and take responsibility to some extent for those incidents, and their acts that were extremely serious and threatened the lives of a whole number of EU citizens. And then secondly, the other key act, with the collaboration, unfortunately, of the PASOK government in Greece, the extension of the blockade of Gaza into the waters of Greece, whereby the Greek government collaborated, presumably under pressure from the Israeli state and the US state, collaborated with the extension of that blockade and didn't allow the flotilla to sail, which was outrageous in my opinion. So to conclude, I welcome the agreement, but if Palestinian goods aren't able to reach European shores, then the agreement isn't worth all that much. And therefore there's a responsibility on the European Union to go beyond pretending to be an honest broker when in reality it's complicit with Israeli oppression of Palestinians, complicit with the blockade, and to put pressure on Israel to change its policy and to lift the blockade to allow the economy to really develop. Thank you.